What's going to be the final record when the dust settles on the 2025 season for the Miami Hurricanes? Miami made some moves this offseason. Made a big splash going out and landing Carson Beck from Georgia to the NFL draft. Miami says, no. Come to Coral Gables and get a nice little chunk of change via NIL, and we'll make another run at this whole ACC title thing. So what's going to be the final record? We'll break it down right now. We'll go game by game here a little bit later in this video. Before we get to that, though, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Miami Hurricane fans, glad to have you all a part of this. If you want more coverage around your Canes, you want us to talk more about what's going on out there in Coral Gables, make sure you are subscribed. That's the best way to let us know there is demand from y'all for Hurricane content. Appreciate y'all for that. So I mentioned Carson Beck. He said something during ACC Media Days that I've already addressed, but I want to do it during this show because I think it's important. He said essentially, hey, I don't need to be Superman for us to be successful and for us to get to where we want to go. He's referring to what he did a year ago at Georgia, where he admitted to pressing a little bit, making some bad decisions because they weren't able to really run the football. And there was times where the defense looked un-Georgia-ish, and the receiving corps did have their own issues. So like Carson Beck admitted to, hey, sometimes I tried to do too much. I don't need to do that here at Miami. And I think he is right to have the mindset of, I don't need to press. That's one part of this, because when you press, that's where you make poor decisions and mistakes happen and interceptions happen, and we're looking at Carson on the sideline like, hey, brother, why'd you throw to the other team? That's one part of this. But honestly, like, maybe not Superman, but like, Carson, I'd love you could just be like an Avenger for us. Like, can you just stretch the field? Because the way that Miami's offense is designed, they're not going to be completely air raid, but it's like an air raid sort of vibe to it. Like diet air raid is how I would describe the Shannon Dawson offense out there in Coral Gables. You saw that a year ago, man. Like, Cam Ward put up the best year ever for a Hurricane quarterback based on the numbers. Yeah, some of that's because Cam Ward's just a freaking guy, but a lot of that is they're trying to push the ball downfield. And if you want to push the ball downfield, you better have a guy that can do that. And there's a reason why he's making in the range of $4 million allegedly to be in Coral Gables. So that's one part of this. Carson Beck, if we are going to get to where we want to go, no, you're not Superman, but like, I do need some juice from you, dude. I do need you to be the reason why we're winning football games, all right? There's not a world that exists where Carson Beck has a C-plus year and Miami wins the ACC. That's not how this thing is built. It's built around the quarterback. Now, I do want to make sure we mention, as much as Miami's going to be a passing-centric offense like they were a year ago, don't sleep on the offensive line now. Don't sleep on that running back room. I think the people in the 305, that staff in the 305, they feel, I think, really confident in what they have up front and in that room in the at the running back position. All that's to say, yes, you're an air raid. Again, diet air raid is how I would describe it, but there's like power run concepts within this offense. To put it simply, they're trying to get north and south. And so I think with you feeling good about that part of the offense, that's only going to, in my mind, amplify what Carson Beck is. So the question is, do you have the guys out wide to go get it? Because that's, I mean, the most visible part of this whole thing of what you're replacing from what last year was. Yes, Cam Ward, but no Jacoby George, no Restrepo. There's a lot you're missing on the perimeter that you have to replace. Now, I like Malachi Toney. Got to see it. I like JoJo Trader. Got to see it. I like Keelan Marion. Want to see how it factors in. But I think the talent level there, from a raw ingredients perspective, is in a spot where you can at least be competitive, all right? Now, if you can progress throughout the year, that's where we really find a shot to find our way into this double-digit win range and maybe a chance at the ACC title and maybe a chance at the college football playoff, but we're going to see about that. Now, defensively, it can't get a whole lot worse than what it was last year, not even based on the numbers, just from a situational standpoint. Like Miami, if you look at the numbers from first half to second half of those defenses, like they were night and day different. Like Miami was notorious for starting slow last year. If they can just be more consistent and can be better situationally, they're going to be in a good spot. Now, here's my concern. You bring in Corey Heatherman, and you're bringing essentially a whole new staff on the defensive side. You're bringing new personnel on the defensive side. I like the fact that you brought in some newness because you had to do that if you want to get to where you want to go, but I think it takes a second for that to totally gel. So it's kind of the question across the board here for Miami, both on offense and defense. How long does it take to gel? Now, from a schedule, I don't love the first four. Just full transparency, I don't love the equation here because you play Notre Dame, national title runner-up, and say what you want about them breaking in a new quarterback, that defense, I think, will be pretty stout and true to form with Marcus Freeman as the head coach. So that makes me a little bit nervous. And then you get Bethune-Cookman, USF, awesome. Let's rev the engine a little bit there. And then you play Florida. Now, both Notre Dame and Florida are at home, but that just like that sequence makes me a bit nervous. After that, you're in good shape, but that sequence makes me a bit nervous. So let's go game by game here. Notre Dame, first game, I think you lose that one. Just what I said a second ago. You beat Bethune-Cookman, you beat USF, then you play Florida. I think you lose to Florida. Now, here's where it's going to get really, really crucial for Miami when it comes to what they're going to do this season. You have a stretch now in 3 weeks where you play one game. You have a bye after Florida. You play Florida State, and Florida State, no knock on the Noles, but like, that's a game you should win if you're Miami. Then you get a bye after that game. So in that 3-week stretch, I need Carson Beck to be able to, if this goes how I think it's going to go, flush the Florida game, get the confidence back during that week of practice, have a day and a half against Florida State, get back right the next week where you play Louisville off the bye. I need us like all the way dialed in, ready to roll in that 3-week stretch. Because if you take advantage of those 3 weeks, that's where Miami, I think, could really start to get things going. So you play Louisville, like I mentioned. That's a win. Stanford, win. At SMU, I think you get that win at SMU. I love what they have out there in Highland Park, but I'm not all the way sold that they'll be able to recreate what last year was for Ed Lashley and co. So I think you win that game on the road. Syracuse will be scrappy now, but I think you beat Syracuse. I think you beat NC State. This is a really tricky stretch, and honestly now I wasn't totally sure what to do with these last 2 games because you got 2 road games, at Vautech and at Pitt. My thought process is I think Mario Cristobal and what they've done out there over the course of the last few years, I think they've done it the right way from a cultural perspective. I think they have installed the right priorities into their football team, and over a certain period of time, like the Francis Mawanoa, who he was recruited by Cristobal, Ruben Bain, who was recruited by, like they're going into another year in that system, should be tone setters for that football team in that locker room. I think that's going to keep them from stubbing their toe on the road at these last 2 games. So I wouldn't be overly shocked if they lost one of those. I don't think they lose both. But, for the sake of this conversation, roster-wise, Miami, they should win both those games. So I'm going to go ahead and trust that the leadership Miami has in place here keeps them from losing those 2 games at the end of the season. So you finish with a record of 10-2. Now, notice, you are undefeated in the ACC. So you find yourself in Charlotte for the ACC title game. Hear me loud and clear. I think you have to win the conference to get into the college football playoff. Because if you've watched our other segments on, record predictions, we also did our record prediction on Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame's going to go 10-2. So if you want to punch your ticket to the dance, you don't have that tiebreaker with Notre Dame. So if you lose the conference title game, and it's between you and Notre Dame, and they say the head-to-head goes to Notre Dame, well, you're in trouble there, right? So I think if you're Miami, you have to win the ACC to get in at 10-2. Just kind of the nature of the beast right now. But if you go 10-2 again, I know it would feel weird if you lose the conference title game and don't make the playoff, but I think the fact that you were able to sustain 2 double-digit win seasons with different quarterbacks, we'll see what Carson Beck looks like, but I think you go in 10 games means he had a good year. The quarterback destination you continue to evolve yourself into, from Cam Ward to then Beck, whether it's via the portal or whether it's at the high school level, I think you put up a nice big billboard and says, if you want to go be a successful quarterback at the college level and help yourself when it comes to your draft stock, at that point in time, Miami will have that pitch they can make on the recruiting trail to a lot of top quarterbacks, like I said, portal or otherwise. So again, if they win 10 games, I'll just go ahead and say this to make this clear. I think that means Carson Beck is a first-round draft pick. So Miami got him at 10-2. Got to win the ACC, though, to get into the playoff. Miami fans, let me know your thoughts on this record. Let me know what you think your Canes are going to do this year. And excited to chop it up with y'all over on the message boards and in the comment section. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.